says the content to this meeting is being sent to a third party.
Yeah, that's YouTube.
Oh. Now, are we just letting him talk, or
All right,
what?
we're live. No, yeah, we'll set the scene and yeah, we'll get his 2 cents when he's on.
Okay.
I don't even know if we're live or not. What's up? Oh yeah, we are. Hey
Yeah.
guys. All right,
What's
yeah,
going
we're
on?
live. We're
What's
live and
going
alive.
on? What's going on, everybody? We are. You want to let him know what's going on?
Yep. So we decided to go live because Iran's popping off and shot a whole bunch of drones and ballistic missiles at Israel. And it just so happens Andy Milburn is in Israel as we speak right now and as shit's hitting the fan. So we're waiting on him to jump on and give us the lowdown on what's going on.
D, can they ask? Is it like normal where they can ask questions and stuff
Yeah,
while?
yeah. They can ask questions in the chat if they want.
Okay, but I won't. I mean, how are you? How do you see them on your phone?
Yeah, you can look at it through your phone, or I have like the computer, I have it set up where I have my laptop here and I'm watching
Okay.
the stream and I'm trying to change the thumbnail. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming. This is just like a hasty it's a hasty show because Andy's a lunatic. I love him, but he's a
Yeah, he
lunatic.
is.
I try to get Jack Murphy on, but he just told me he doesn't work weekends.
Yeah. He doesn't care if Jesus himself comes back. He
Yeah,
can wait till Monday.
he's off on the weekends. Because Andy's a lunatic. Oh, see, you can hear it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Huh.
Try to get Jack Murphy on, but he just told me. You got me talking shit about Jack.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll talk smack about Jack all day to his face too.
JP Ortega, any chance they will cut the internet where Andy's at? We're hoping not, but there's a good possibility. So we're going to try to get him on before that happens.
I don't even know where Andy is. My assumption is Tel Aviv, right?
I believe so.
All right. Oh, I see you guys. I see the chat now. What's up, chat?
Andrew Dunbar, I want to tell you three, I like this show.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew's a mod too. He's a mod for the chat. He gets activated when people get stupid in the chat.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. See, when you see somebody who writes and they have a little wrench next to their name, that means
Yeah.
they're a moderator.
Okay. Appreciate you keeping the savages away from the gate, Andrew.
Shit just popping off. It is kind of crazy. Andy did say it feels like it's like two sports team, like it's a sporting event, like on
Yeah,
Twitter.
some of the comments I've seen when I somehow stumble into Twitter, some of the comments are crazy. Oleg, this is the beginning of the stream. He asked
Yeah,
for the end. Mhm.
who did? Oleg?
Yeah.
Yeah, Oleg, we literally just started. We're waiting for
Yeah.
Andy. He's putting pants on.
Yeah. Running in the streets in his tidy whities. Mark, is there a MEU, which is a Marine Expeditionary Unit in the vicinity? I would think so. How close they are, I don't know, but there usually is a forward deployed MEU. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, nicely, because I will cut your ass out.
Yeah, so shit's popping off. I mean, there's another report saying Jordanian fighter jets intercepted dozens of drones, Iranian drones in their airspace. I think we
Yeah,
intercepted drones too. The UK intercepted drones.
yeah. It's I guess they're gonna try to catch them out as far out as they can. Um, but yep, Fire Phoenix Gamers, you did call it.
All right, Andy's gonna jump on. Iron Dome is working overtime today.
Mm-hmm.
Some crazy videos.
Yeah. Did you see what he wants you to post in the chat?
Yeah, that's on Twitter too. I saw that on Twitter a couple minutes ago. I don't even know how to post that in the chat, Andy. These guys making me do work.
Yeah, everyone, please bear with us. This is our first one going live like this.
Oh yeah, first Eyes on live. Live doesn't stress me out because we do the Team House live, so it's like I'm already stressed out anyway. So
yeah.
Iran has the right to defend it. I'm not saying anything, bro. I mean, again, I just want Andy Milburn to get the fuck out of Israel. That's all I really care about.
That's all I give a shit about. Sorry if it sounds like a horse race in here. The dog is running up and down.
Percy, we still have his dog bowl at the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we haven't touched it. It's just there, it's filled with water.
You should have guests drink out of it.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage.
So there's some initial reports about U.S. forces at Erbil International Airport in northern Iraq, as well as Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq being hit by proxies.
Oh, shit. That's actually happened? Or
that it's happening. I mean, I guess that was to be expected, right?
Yeah. Fire Phoenix, yep, he is in Israel right now. Paul, what kind of dog? He's a pit bull. Am I allowed to say pit bull, or would he get taken from me? I'm gonna see if I can get him to come over. Percy, come here.
Percy's the man.
Percy, come.
Mark, will Israel retaliate big? I mean, most likely, and something just broke right now. Israel, like 5 minutes ago, Israel War Cabinet approves a military response to Iran's aggression. I kind of got an issue with that wording, but I know it's the War Cabinet and that's what they're supposed to say. But I mean, like, Israel's squirting over a whole bunch of drones and ballistic missiles because Iran is squirting over a bunch of drones and ballistic missiles because Israel hit 7 or 6 guys at their consulate. It wasn't like on a motorcade that was between the consulate and the airport in Syria. It was at their like actual embassy or an annex to the embassy.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. Everyone's a belligerent here in this thing.
Yeah. We can't answer that question, Sakari. Why did Israel attack the embassy? You got to. That's not for us to answer.
I mean,
have they even taken responsibility for it yet?
No, I don't think officially. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Israel's probably gonna go buck wild.
Mm.
I'll say Israel's definitely like the short drunk friend that always gets to fights and needs like his bigger friends to like either calm it down or come and save them, because that's what the U.S. feels like all the time.
Yo, when I was before I went to the agency, I was finishing up school and was doing some bouncing at a bar. And so this guy comes in and he's like, hey, listen, we got somebody coming in. He's kind of a name, well-known name, but he likes to drink and he likes to fight. And I'm like, all right, well, who is it? So it was Jason Mewes. Do you know who he is?
Jason, no.
You know Jay and Silent Bob?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Jay, the skinny guy. Yeah. So he comes in and he's like, I promise I'm going to behave tonight. And this goes with what you just said about Israel. He's like, I promise I'm not going to cause any problems tonight, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, all right, no problem. So we're standing there and he's standing like in between us, but behind us, myself and another bouncer. And this guy comes on and starts running his mouth to him. All of a sudden his hand comes in between us. Jason Mewes slaps the taste out of dude's mouth and just backs up. There he is.
AD.
Hey guys. Hello.
Just nonchalant English sensibility.
Yeah,
hey guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's been quiet. I mean, it's quiet here so far. Of course, that's probably not going to last. So we're live now, are we?
We are live. Yeah.
People are already asking about you.
All right. Do you guys want me to give you a quick heads up.
Please.
I'm getting, I think, we'll see how reliable it is. Hold on, let me just get to my notes. Bottom line is this, there are, so, what I'll try and do is tell you what you don't already know. And you're already aware of about 500 drones that were launched earlier this evening. They look like being a mixture of Shahed. I'm saying it as though I'm watching them. No, they've been identified as a mixture of Shahed 131s and 136s. Those things, remember, are really slow. They're going to take about 9 hours to reach here, so they won't get here until tomorrow morning. But there's a couple of things going on here, obviously. I mean, the Iranians aren't so dumb as to just launch Shahad missiles. But at the same time, and I hope I'm right about this, there is almost there's kind of almost a parade-like element to this that suggests that this is all part, I'm going to get vilified for saying this, of a complicated game. That doesn't necessarily mean it's any safer, but what I'm saying is that there's kind of there's a progression here. So Iran, if they were really sensible, they would have, of course, launched ballistic and cruise missiles at the same time to coordinate their landing time, and they've kind of tipped their hat at that. They've announced that they've launched ballistic missiles, but the thing is, if they really were ballistic missiles, they would be here in 12 minutes. I mean, exactly, not between like 10 and 15 minutes. But the announcement was made a couple of hours ago. So I don't know if they've confused the ballistic missiles with something else.
With the
I
cruise
don't know.
missiles?
Well, cruise missiles take 2 hours. Yeah,
Okay.
that could be it. Or it could be they were intercepted. We're not getting a lot of really, we're getting feedback from external interceptions. So the Jordanians are intercepting them over Jordan. I believe they've launched aircraft. The Brits definitely have launched aircraft from Cyprus, and have already intercepted drones. So the Shahed drones are, they're not exactly difficult to intercept. He says as though he's done a shitload of. No, I've been on the intercepting end of Shahed, so I'm talking a big game. But I mean, they're very slow moving. The danger is this, that this is, as the Iranians say, only step one. And what the Iranians have said is that this is each step is going to be more severe depending on Israel's response. All right, so this is where we get kind of we get in a position where things could easily escalate, even though both sides think they're adhering to the rules. All right, so what I'm reading in this, and again, I don't have any, aside from my personal investment in this, here's what I think is probably going on. So all this announcement, posturing, the announcement, the Shaheds. I mean, the Russians don't do this, of course, when they launch Shaheds. They don't give it quite such a fan. So there's, you know, definitely a lot of this is for show. There's a very serious element to this. And I want to remind you that Hezbollah still really hasn't weighed in. There have been salvos of rockets, 50 or more at a time, but nothing really that has made a dent in Hezbollah's arsenal. So that's an unknown quantity, as are the potential actions of proxies, we discussed earlier. I mean, they still aren't on the chessboard. So two things could be happening. It could really be, as I suspect and as I hope, the Iranians playing by the rules of the game, gradual escalation, everyone saves face, the Israelis hit back, but they hit military targets. Maybe they don't hit in Iran. Who knows? We'll see. But definitely the Israelis do hit back. They can be very, very wary of causing collateral damage in Iran, because they're trying to regulate the escalation. But back to this initial drone strike, okay? I don't want you to think I'm being entirely flippant about it, because it is concerning. I mean, the Shahed is by itself a piece of shit, but And as the saying goes, quantity has a quality all of its own. And the danger here is that Israel's much vaunted air defense systems will become saturated. I've seen a lot of, you know, how when these things happen, everyone turns into a technical expert. Well, I can tell you the Israelis are very concerned about their systems becoming overwhelmed by a combination of drones, ballistic and cruise missiles, plus rockets launched from multiple directions and multiple distances. And that really does. And when I say overwhelmed, well, it's a question of degree, right? But even if we're not talking about being overwhelmed, even if we're talking about all the systems operating as they are, I'm going to run some numbers by you. These are not my, these have been, these are coming from someone who knows these numbers. He's involved in missile defense here, but it doesn't. It again, this doesn't take into account other variables. But let me just, if everything else, if nothing else is fired at Israel, aside from, say, salvo ballistic missiles and the drones, okay. So, the various systems, the Patriot system, of course, is, the kind of the platinum standard. But, the Patriots, well, it's considered the platinum standard. But, the Patriot system only is likely to have about a 50% kill rate against ballistic missiles. So the Israelis rely on Sling of David. Everyone's heard about Iron Dome, which is oriented against a particular type of threat, kind of rockets and missiles, but shorter range. And the Patriot, yes, will focus on ballistic missiles along with what the Israelis call David Sling. But together, that's going to, it's still about 10% of missiles will get through. All right, that may not sound a lot, but even a handful of crucial missiles getting through, even 2 or 3 has the potential of causing significant casualties because of the population centers here are so densely packed. I'm sorry, totally messed up, and forgive me, lack of sleep. But no, for ballistic missiles, I'm sorry, the drones, David Sling will shoot down cruise missiles and drones. Patriot can shoot down primarily ballistic missiles. Well, the Israelis have Arrow 3, which is focused on the ballistic missile threat. And they claim they have a 99% success rate. Okay, that is though if they're not being overwhelmed. No one really knows what's going to be thrown into the air as far as ballistic missiles. It appears that none have been fired up there yet. And again, the Iranians would be dumb not to use them. So, now look, I don't think we're going to see huge escalation on this first strike. In theory, Hezbollah and the Iranian, the Iraqi, or rather the Shia militia in Iraq.
There has been some reports. There have been some reports about Erbil Air Base and another air base getting hit by some proxies and stuff like that. Just recently, probably in the last 20 or so minutes.
Against US bases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of talking about, if we assume that this is part of a campaign, I'm talking about their integration into an attack on Israel. And I don't know, but if I was a betting man, I would say that, and Hezbollah is the biggest threat there. I would guess that Hezbollah is not going to step up to the plate and saturate the northern area with rockets and missiles at this point. But everyone knows that threat is always there, and is there for the next time around. In theory, they a really good way to make this an effective attack, or at least cause casualties, And I quoted those figures to you too. So let's just be honest. I mean, Israel's going to be lucky to emerge from this without civilian casualties. But let's suppose this. Let's suppose this is carefully metered by Iran, and that Nasrallah has been told, "Hey, just keep your powder dry. Let's see how the Zionist entity reacts to this." So if I was a betting man, I'd say Hezbollah does very little. They could wait and launch mass attacker drones and missiles just as the Iranian drones and missiles enter Israeli airspace into the protection bubble, and that would have a good shot at overwhelming the various air defense systems here. But I think it's more likely that this attack is going to be measured, kind of a last warning, and that Iran is waiting for the response from the Israelis. I think that's kind of a similar scenario, right? After the Soleimani hit, do you remember that? There was kind of a measured response, strikes on U.S. positions to kind of to save face, but it wasn't intended to escalate. I'm hoping that is what we're seeing here. Look,
Andy, what about the Houthis? What about the Houthis?
Yeah, the Houthis here are not regarded as being a huge threat because, yes, they have launched a couple of missiles that have hit Eilat, which is the southernmost city in Israel. It's on the Red Sea. But to date has not really, threatened population centers here. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is true, but the IDF, or the Israeli Security Service, I had a dinner with someone last night who told me that he said, "Look, we're not worried about missiles and drones, as long as Hezbollah stays out of it." He did say that. He doesn't think Hezbollah will be involved at this stage. But their main worry, the Israelis' main worry right now, is that the airport will be closed down for an indefinite period. All right. And the Israelis are concerned that their economy would, obviously would suffer badly. I mean, essentially, that would put the country under siege. Yes, Israel has two major ports, but so much comes through the airport, to include as you know, all the munitions that the United States has been providing for Operation Swords of Iron. So that is a big concern, and frankly, not one that had occurred to me until the conversation last night. So I'll pause there, guys, and see if you have any questions. Sorry, there's no more dramatic. Well, I'm not sorry, but you may be that there are no dramatic explosions in the background.
No, that's fine. Where are you staying, Andy, if you don't mind saying?
I'm staying at a hotel on the beach, or near the beach. It's like but it's a low profile place. It's all Israelis here. There's no foreigners. And I'm not staying like, in the big strip of 4 or 5-star hotels down there. Well, that's more because I'm a cheapskate. That's, then
this isn't a question, but Jack said, "Andy, please don't die over there. We're not insured for it."
Yeah, good point. There was never any question the team helps insuring me. I mean, Jason, you know how it is. We've got to fight. Do you remember when we did we did that podcast there in New York, and we had to arm wrestle with D just to share a soda,
just to get in pizza,
slice of pizza. Yeah, I finally relented and got the guy's pizza under protest, though.
So, U.S. I'm not, you guys are probably tracking the coalition efforts to shoot down drones and just drones so far. I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, it's expected. There's some unexpected components. Remember the Jordanians? It wasn't certain that whether they would counter and use their own systems to shoot down Iranian drones.
Yeah, I think they've knocked out a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, or even allow the Israelis to do it in their airspace, but they have done so. So that's thank God for silver linings, right?
Yeah,
there's one.
What kind of response are we looking at from Israel? after this. Oop, Andy might have froze a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think the big question here is, can you still see me?
We got you
Yeah,
now. You
we
broke
got
up
you
for a
now.
second.
Yeah. So the key question is, I mentioned the airport. Well, of course, I don't want you to think that the IDF or the Israeli security forces are not concerned about civilian casualties. Of course they are. I'm just saying that they're worried. They there is concern about mass casualty events, of course, but people here are not going crazy. It's a very similar attitude as it was in Kiev. And one of the beauties of the air defense system that was not there in Kiev is that it's very time management friendly. So in other words, it doesn't when the alarms goes off, it means no shit. There is something heading for your neck of the woods, right? But when Jerusalem gets hit, the alarms don't go off here in Tel Aviv. And even when depending what's coming in. So we won't hear alarms here in Tel Aviv unless the various systems have determined that there is something hitting right here. And I believe actually within Tel Aviv, they can get as good as neighborhoods, but you've got to be careful doing that, right? When you're talking about something like the Shahed. But the last piece is this isn't more of the same for the Israelis. Rockets and missiles from Gaza or even Hezbollah. It's a different ball game from a mass strike involving drones and potentially ballistic missiles and potentially cruise missiles all at once. And if that is what occurs, either this strike or subsequent strikes, yeah, that's a watershed moment. Now, getting back to your point, though, D, the Israeli response is going to depend on one thing, and that is civilian casualties. All right, there is, as we've seen in the aftermath of 7 October, there is a very very deeply buried in the national psyche, and this goes way back, and I don't think anyone here would argue with it, is the sanctity of of life, of Israeli life. And so and there's historical reasons for all of this. It's not a comment. I'm not making a comment, except that's a pillar stone of this, how this country conducts foreign policy in many ways, and hence the big prisoner swaps where 2 or 3 Israelis will be traded for several thousand detainees, Palestinian detainees. And so where I'm heading on this is I couldn't tell you that there is a casualty figure above which or above which the Israelis will really go to war. I don't know. I don't even know what their red line is. But what I can tell you is that they do have a red line, I'm sure. And number 2 is I'm pretty sure that it is gauged in terms of civilian casualties, because that is what matters most to them. I'm not saying the U.S. government doesn't care about us, but it's a very prominent aspect of U.S. foreign policy. Israeli foreign policy, which is why 7 October was such a traumatic event to them, because that social contract that Israel as a nation made with its citizens at its birth in 1948 in the aftermath of the Holocaust was based on, this is your refuge and no one can touch you here. So violations of that refuge and violations that result in spilt Jewish blood are taken very, very seriously.
So, Andy, you were talking about the sirens going off and all that. The last time you're out in the streets, what's the atmosphere like? Like, is it empty or?
Well, the streets. So today was Shabbat, and it's normally a little bit quieter, but things always pick up in the afternoon on the beach. I went for a run on the beach, and actually life was going on as normal. I know from friends here in Tel Aviv, and friends particularly who have children, there is a lot of nervousness. And what you see on the beach are kind of the young crowd who are like, "What the fuck?" They don't understand maybe, or they just they're young.
Yeah.
but yes, there's considerable concern, and it's not just about the strikes. There's considerable concern about just the future, the
Yeah.
future of the state, and even if it isn't a concern, even if it isn't as um, blatant as, oh, I'm afraid for my life, it's economic security for the reasons that I've
Yeah.
described, and um, a French guy told me today that almost a quarter of the population has left Israel since 7 October.
Really?
I don't know if that's true. I haven't had a chance to, but
Wow.
certainly that there has been a significant number of people who have left. And I'm sure this event will add to it, and there are a lot of Israelis have dual citizenship, so it's quite easy for a lot of them to leave, but a lot of them don't, and they don't have that option.
Yeah.
Easy to
Right.
forget.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm hoping while majority of people have their eyes to the sky with this whole thing, that somebody's at least keeping their eyes on the ground, because just cross-border stuff, even if it's intermittent or small scale, it's still a possibility.
Yeah, that no, absolutely right, Jason. So Hezbollah um not announced, but like the Hezbollah watchers announced last night that Hezbollah was planning ground attacks across the border. Who knows where but that would not be completely surprising. I just think that Nasrallah he's either been told, or I'm sure he's been told. I'm sure he's got clear instructions. So I don't think it's him to say, yeah, maybe I'll join in on this one. He's been told when to join in or when not to join in, I'm sure. And I'm pretty sure this is not his time yet.
We got a question from the chat. How has the Iranian oil industry not become a target to try and back down the Iranians?
Yeah, that's a great question. Who says it isn't a target to the Israelis?
Well, I guess
but I will say this:
why haven't they hit it yet?
it's a great question. So I think the answer lies in the rules of the game. All right, and the problem about the oil industry. Oh, hey, let me just say one other thing. The Israelis expect a massive cyber attack too, and that hasn't happened yet. So if we talk about combined arms, and we're talking um, about penetrating adversaries' IADS space and using combined arms. This is what it is. I mean, you use all these types of flying projectiles, unmanned flying projectiles, and then you throw in proxies, and then you throw in a nice cyber attack, right? Just at the last minute.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty damaging attack, because some missiles are bound to get through, but I don't think that'll happen until subsequent shots. The oil industry, back to that. Well, there is, I'm sure the US has, both US and Israel separately have plans to go after Iran's oil production and oil refinery capability. And for the US, I would imagine that begins by disabling platforms, offshore platforms, because it doesn't carry quite the same gravitas as if they're in Iran itself. Why hasn't Israel done that? Maybe because I don't know. I would be speculating. But when you start striking targets in waters, not even in international waters, then again, you're kind of perhaps opening things up. I will say this, yeah, Israel definitely has plans to go after oil pipelines in Iran as part of conventional conflict, and has a particular method of doing so that doesn't necessarily rely on long-range missiles. Okay, let me just leave it there. But yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is yes, there are plans to. They just haven't happened yet.
So
The
Mossad,
US,
Mossading.
I mean, I can see the US doing something to oil platforms, if, as a form of, what we call a flexible, I'm sorry, a, I'm going to get here, FDO, flexible deterrent option.
Mhm.
But
What time is it there, Andy? 2?
It's like it's 240, man.
Oh my
240
God.
more. Yeah,
Um,
you're doing no good for my beauty sleep here.
I mean, the
I'm
interesting
just
thing that I haven't heard of is like how this is kind of like shifting the focus from the disaster that is Gaza to
yeah,
now like kind of state on state stuff. It's interesting how like that works.
yeah. It, there's been a lot of comments about that actually this doesn't really play in Iran's favor because everything was going Iran's way when when the Gaza operation was going on. You had the Israelis killing Sunnis, massive amounts of Sunnis, and turning the Islamic world against them, while Hezbollah was able to plink, away and just add to the confusion, and Iran was untouched. So, if you think through this, hitting hitting those three dudes, the three Quds Force guys in Damascus was arguably geopolitically a really inspired move. Because look at the world now. Gaza's forgotten about. The news cycle's moved on, and now it's Israel under attack by Iran, and you've got five countries scrambling air defense systems and jets to protect Israel.
Mm.
So, Israel's gone from being angry Goliath to brave David, in the eyes of many. So, and Iran did that. So it doesn't, I mean, it's curious, isn't it? You sometimes, just like we do not do a good job when sometimes, as we talked about this, when um, we try to predict adversary actions based on pressure that we bring, whether it's deception or sanctions. But the problem is we mirror image what is valuable to us as being valuable to our adversary, and that doesn't always work. And I think the Iranians may be, struggling with some of the same thing. They do some things very well, but swaying public opinion across, globally, may not be it. I think what has happened since 7 October has been the effect of what's happened in Gaza, what the Israelis have been doing in Gaza. It hasn't been Iran has been able to stir up this anger, right?
Mm.
Because they're very cack-handed when it comes to strategic communication. So I'm getting reports as I'll send you this one. I just got sent a picture of a missile hitting the Negev.
Yeah,
Like
I've been
a
seeing those too.
oh, yeah.
Is that where the
Well,
airport is, Ben
they
Gurion?
well, no, but these aren't near the airport.
Okay,
So if they
because that's
are
what
if
I'm
they are
seeing too.
planned
It's
to hit the Negev, then that's playing within the rules of the game, right? You look at a map of Israel, the Negev is the one, outstanding. I mean, it's not the only one, but but the Negev Desert
Yeah.
is the most sparsely populated part, aside from, well, actually, that's part of the Negev too. The drive down to Alat. So if they're all focused on hitting the Negev, then everyone saves face. Hezbollah goes back to sleep for a while,
Mm.
and the news cycle moves on. Israel, sends kind of a slap hand retaliation, and life goes on.
Yeah.
Best case
yeah,
scenario, right?
that would be good. I'm
Yeah, it would
seeing
be.
I'm seeing videos like shots of like Jerusalem and like I guess the Iron Dome hitting drones or whatever they're hitting. I don't even know. But there's
Yeah.
anti-aircraft, anti whatever going on in Jerusalem, and they're showing a picture of like I guess the Temple Mount. I guess it's pretty wild. I mean, it's crazy what 2 days does. It really like or 5 days. The difference 5 days makes
What do you mean?
in terms of
Yeah, I'm
like yeah,
just looking.
Israel was a pariah for a bit, and now like they're
Oh
everyone's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and so much is happening politically on the ground as far as the and also plans for a delivery of aid. A lot to catch up on in the last few days.
Mm.
So, guys, I know this will probably be going on for days.
Yeah.
yeah.
but it's good. Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of an initial update.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad you were down to do this. This is great.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man.
Stay safe. Keep your head down.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna put my head down right now.
And
All the
thanks
best,
everybody
guys. Take
for
care.
thank you
Thanks,
everybody
Andy.
for hopping
See you
on.
later.
Take care.
Yeah, everybody. Before we totally go, Andy, go ahead, go to bed.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
subscribe. If you're listening to us on audio, rate and review it. Patreon.com/the team house. If you can't spare any money, the best thing you could do is like and subscribe. Tell your friend about it. Andy, thanks again.
Thanks again.
Bye,
Stay
guys.
safe, brother. Later. Later,
All
man.
right, guys. Later, Jay. Appreciate it.
If anything significant comes up and I don't see your message, call me.
Okay.
And I'll hop back on.
All right, cool.
All right, man. Later.
Later, Jason. All right, guys. That's it. I appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on such short notice. I've never gone live on Zoom before, so I don't know how to freaking stop it. Okay, I got it. It says stop live stream. Patreon.com/the team house. Like and subscribe. It's very important. We appreciate it. We'll try and get as many updates as we can from Andy. As long as he's, for as long as he's in Israel. And yeah, we appreciate